They had some kind of training, because from what we know, the police officer who was in pursuit, the original cop who was in pursuit, came under fire from one of these guys getting in the back seat and firing out of the back. That's a tactical move. Normally, you know, retained to military or formed by the military. So it's either some guy who is really a buff, who's been firing guns and knows how to fire guns, but he knew how to suppress a police pursuit.
And that police officer driving that vehicle is a very fortunate man or woman, depending on who was driving it. I mean, that kind of fire, you've got to have some kind of guts to stay in pursuit. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think all that's been said prior is accurate, and training's a relative term, Lou. To fire indiscriminately a semi-automatic long rifle is not that difficult. But to go in and, from at least the reports we're hearing about the incident, of a casual, calm exit from the crime scene requires, as Bill accurately stated, some familiarity with firearms, so that there doesn't seem to be any panic with this individual, even though he just ruthlessly murdered a bunch of people, which says that he's had some familiarity with some techniques, firing a weapon and targeting, you know, either animals or targets in the past. So I agree, but the training term is relative. Is training, like in the 9/11 type incident, we don't know yet that this was that kind of terrorism, but that was a significant training footprint, which left a lot of investigative breadcrumbs that could have been missed. To learn how to train to fire a Kalashnikov is not as detailed, so it's all relative.
Yeah, September 11th was immensely sophisticated planning and coordination. The individual acts were, you know, those were of a relatively primitive level. The fact that people can have the training necessary to use a weapon in this horrible way, it's in such a revulsive way, is to me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
One thing I would mention is that there's a probability, or a possibility at least, that some of these individuals might have obtained that with military experience. Right. That's something that definitely has to be pursued.
Yeah, it's you know, one hates to give any kind of you know, recognition of any kind of even a skill that is used in such a perverted way. It is not in any way to laud them, you know, but to look at the nature of the kind of person on this day who took these innocent lives. I mentioned it earlier in the beginning of the broadcast, in point of fact, that amongst the people in that building, the Inland Regional Center, were a couple of employees on a different floor who happened to look out, and with their camera rolling, talking about what they thought was a training exercise as those SWAT team members scrambled to get into the building. And what you're watching was occurring at approximately 11 a.m. Pacific time, within moments of the shooting of these innocent victims.
Oh, just looking at them. Yeah, look, they're all geared. They're all geared up. Rifles and everything. No, they're coming onto our. They're coming onto here. Well, they're running towards there. Safety issues. Okay. They're coming over here. Well, that's where they're running to. Oh, you're gonna have to show me that. You know what? I think so. They're all by.
And we want to credit the Los Angeles Times for that video. As you can see, it is getting dark now in San Bernardino, and we are still awaiting that police press conference that we were told would occur about 15 minutes ago. People are assembled there now, so they're ready to go, just awaiting the arrival of someone from the police department. Your thoughts as you saw those officers come in with their weapons at the ready?
People can criticize the police department every single day for the few misacts that they do. Those are brave officers. Yeah. Those are officers running across a highway with their weapons to engage an active shooter situation and risking their lives at that moment for all the people who are being shot at in the building.
Yeah, they, to put it in the simplest terms, they run to danger. They don't run from it, and they protect the public every day. and do their very best to save lives and property, and usually without any thanks whatsoever.